Let's talk about a set of tools, the brush tools, that actually you might not use that often. And they're right here, 4 of them actually. We have a brush tool and a pencil tool, and they've been there pretty much the whole time. Color replacement tool has been there for about 2 versions, and the new kid on the block is the mixer brush tool. Why do I say you wouldn't use these very often? You might be a photographer primarily. And in photography, you're probably not doing a lot of painting, you're doing image enhancement. However, the tips that we use to paint using the brush tools are the very same tips that we use with our clone tools and our enhancement tools like healing brushes, and a good firm grasp of these tools will help you better understand how we use other tools in image enhancement. So let's get started with the very basic one that's been there forever, the brush tool. I think you know exactly what's going to happen once I've selected that tool. We can come over here and pick up a color, and we can come over here on the screen and we can just begin painting. That's not any revelation to anybody, I'm sure. One of the tricks you can use here if you want to draw a straight line for whatever reason, and again, these tricks work with the enhancement tools too, like clone brushes and things. If I come over here and click, then hold the Shift key down, no matter what I do in dragging up and down, I will indeed draw a perfectly straight line. If I want to connect the last part I left off at when I let go of my mouse to another point, hold the Shift key down first, now just click your mouse, and it will draw a straight line between those points. Again, that's not new. It's been there for a long time. I'm going to press Control A, which is select all, and press Delete to clean off our palette. We do have the ability, obviously, to change and modify the brush, or it wouldn't make much sense. Now, we are using the last brush that we used when we picked up this tool. If we don't like that brush, we can come up here to this little button right here, click it. We can change size and or hardness of the brush. Again, this has been there forever. Click here and drag to make it bigger. Click here and drag to make it smaller. Hardness of the brush, we have a fully feathered brush. If we want it to be completely hard on the edges, we can go all the way to 100%. If we want to split the difference, we can go to 50%. It's up to you. If I come over here and draw again, we have a slightly harsher brush and a little bit larger. So we can control the brush very easily that way. This button right here gives us access to our brush presets and our brush controls. We'll talk about those in another segment in this lesson, but it gives us more control over our brush. And of course, if we click that button again, we can change to a different brush tip, and I will show you how to, in another segment in this lesson, make your own brushes. The next one over is the blending modes. Let's go ahead and close this too. The blending modes are available, all of them, for brushes. For example, using the same color that we just applied to the screen, let's try maybe just a color dodge, just to give you an example. If I come over here and begin painting, the color looks exactly the same until it interacts with another color. We have the ability to be creative here and actually use blending modes on any of our brushes. Let's take that back to normal. Opacity. Let's do this. Let me do a Control A Delete again to clean off our palette. Be nice if you could do that in the real world. Change the opacity to 50%. First, let me give us a test again. Let's just put a little test dot right there. That's 100%. I think you know what goes on here. We can actually go down to, say, 50%. If we come over here again and click, it's 50% of whatever color we're using. But I don't want you to confuse opacity with flow. Now, these buttons here and here deal with our drawing tablet. We'll talk about those later. Let's go to flow. If I come over here again and give myself a test dot, if you will, let's now change flow to 50%. And on the surface, they look like they're the same. Now, here's the difference and why you don't confuse them. Let's take this back to 100. Come back to opacity. Let's change opacity to 50%. And I always have a better time or an easier time just changing the number up here than dragging that slider. If I begin painting, I'm holding my mouse down and I'm moving around. You will notice that the color doesn't get any darker. I'm getting an exact 50% application of that color. If there were something underneath that, you'd see it partially because you only have a 50% color. If I let go of my mouse, and click again, I'm getting another application of 50%. On and on and on it goes. Every time you let go of the mouse and click again, you get another applied exact 50%. Let me go ahead and change opacity back to 100%. And we'll just drag that to 100. Change flow to 50%. Now again, over here, it looked the same. Watch what happens when I begin dragging, though. Flow applies more and more ink the more you go over the spot. Opacity only gives you that one opacity as long as you're holding your mouse down, but not flow. The more you drag over a spot, the more you're going to get. So the major difference, and it is a major one, between flow and opacity is that opacity will keep the application at whatever percentage you've chosen, where flow, the more you move over a spot, kind of like an airbrush, will actually allow it to get darker and darker and darker. That's the difference between opacity and flow, and that's the basic paintbrush in Adobe Photoshop.